In May of 2002, Jagex turned gears and focused on the fledgling PvP community that had formed around the wilderness. They released a whole new massive wilderness expansion with several new points of interest to attract players looking for untold wealth. The most notable part of this expansion was the wilderness dungeon with the new fire giant monster to defeat. This monster had two minor upgrades that we'll need to venture forth and obtain, but unfortunately for us, in the modern era, this dungeon is a hotbed for PKing and will be unlikely to survive for long. Beyond this, Jagex continued expanding upon the newly released Kandarin area by releasing two minor quests. As always, we'll need to complete these quests in order to move on to the next month. Our tasks for this month seem simple on paper: complete the two quests and obtain the two new upgrades from the new wilderness. Exploration, danger, and riches await us, so why don't we just get started? Welcome to May of 2002. Hello and welcome to May of 2002. I am so excited to be here because time is finally beginning to move at a reasonable rate once again. This month we've got a couple of very interesting grinds ahead of us, and probably most notably is that grind in the wilderness. We have to head all the way out to the deep wilderness and kill some fire giants, so this will be interesting. And as you know, my rule with the beaver paradox here is it's effectively a hardcore Ironman. It's not insured and it has to come with me, so we are very likely to die and lose poor Paradox, but maybe there's a chance we can survive. I'm definitely going to try my best to survive, but with my limited access to gear and abilities, it's going to be really hard if someone finds me. So one thing I did do off camera is I did a little bit of woodcutting and bowstring spinning because I want to create some more magic short bows. I'm going to be ranging the fire giants because it's really easy to safe spot them out there, and I feel like this will be pretty handy because I probably will be dying quite a bit. I'd also like to train up my range some more, so this kind of knocks out two birds with one stone. It's a cheap, easy weapon to replace, and it also gives me some ranged experience for killing the fire giants. There we go. 28 magic short bows achieved. So in the very western part of eastern Ardoyne, there is a house here, and in this house there is a lever. And as you probably know, this lever teleports you into the deep wilderness, the new part of the wilderness that was just released this month. This teleport lever was actually released with this month, which is really convenient, so I don't have to walk all the way out there. Otherwise that would be a heck of a walk. So we're basically going to be going in with the best armor I can muster, including my steel gauntlets, because they're very easy to reclaim if I were to lose them. I do keep all of the rune if I die. Even if I did lose it, I wouldn't be super upset, except for maybe the rune full helm, because that's the only piece I can't buy back. Not being attacked is going to be our primary goal here. Hopefully I can log out if I see someone. I'm not very good at it, so I don't have a lot of hope, but Paradox's life does depend on it, so I'm hoping that we'll be safe. We have a little bit of exploration to do before we get started on the fire giant grind for this month, so let's get started with that. Oh man, let's jump on in. Whew. With any luck, we won't encounter anyone because we're not going to be going to places that are heavily populated for PKers, but the fire giants are, so I'm pretty nervous. Let's see if we can survive. So here's our first stop. It's the Rogue's Castle, which way back in RuneScape Classic was actually just the Rogue's House. I have to be a little careful because the Chaos Elemental does roam around here, but we do need to come in here for a little bit to get one item. Now, of course, the Rogue's Castle was buffed in the Wilderness expansion. There's some chests back here that can be pickpocketed for some really good loot, but unfortunately those did not exist back in May of 2002, so I won't be taking advantage of them. Let's go ahead and go upstairs here where it'll hopefully be a little bit safer and get this item that we need. So with the Rogue's Castle, there were some new pickpocketable NPCs released in the Rogues, so we need to get one item from these guys before we can move on. Also, these chests here can be searched for a very small chance at some runes, I believe some nature or some blood runes, so that might be handy if I ever need one of those. It is extremely rare though, so I would be surprised if we wound up taking advantage of that. The good news is after my 80 thieving grind, I have a really good success rate with pickpocketing these rogues. They actually have a pretty low level requirement, so it all works out. And there we go, the item I was looking for, the lockpick. This was released this month as well, and we'll need it to access one of the locations that I'm going to go. It's also an extremely valuable item as it will probably be the only ability I have to escape if a PKer does get on me. And the Chaos Elemental is now here, so we're going to go ahead and hop worlds to get away from it. If the Chaos Elemental was to get on me, it probably spells defeat for me unless I get pretty lucky, just because I can't run away from it, and it can teleport you back to it. Walking away from it is going to take so long that it probably will just kill me before I can get away. That said, however, we don't really have a reason to come back to the rogue's castle at all. There are rogues up towards the teleport lever where we spawned in, and if I need another lockpick, I can just pickpocket them instead. So back towards the lever, there is this little hut here filled with magic flying axes. And this is probably going to be the best chance I have of escaping a PKer, because you need a lockpick to pick this lock to get in here. It's really the best chance I have, is just hoping they don't have a lockpick on them. Inside here there are some chests that you can search for traps, but they don't really give you a whole lot. Just a little bit of coins, so it's not really worth pickpocketing them. Also, the magic axes here are pretty good for training because they stay aggressive and you can AFK for a while. And it was actually a really popular training location back in RuneScape Classic. I don't think I'll need to take advantage of this for combat experience, but it is an option if I do decide to. And that's all for the Axe Hut though, so let's keep moving. Unfortunately, the Mage Arena, its bank, and rune shop do not exist for quite some time, so I won't be able to use that as an escape or really even take advantage of it in any way. But I am excited for when it becomes available, as that'll be a really nice mage upgrade. To the very western side of the New Wilderness expansion, there's this icy area. I think it's called like the Icy Glacier or something like that. But notably here, there's another rune rock, if I ever really wanted to mine it or even had the level to mine it. But there are ice warriors and ice giants here to kill, which isn't that useful, but it is notable that it's here. And of course, the Wilderness Agility course here does not exist and won't exist till Agility is released in about half a year. Just to the east of that icy plateau area, there's a crashed pirate ship here, which doesn't really have anything for us, but it is notable in modern day as it has the Laren's chest up top. There's no real reason for me to go here at all, but it is a little bit of an interesting scenery object at least. One place we can go to, however, is the pirate's hideout. And this is actually interesting because it's another picklockable door where you actually need a picklock to get in here. So this will be our primary point of escape if we need to, in order to get away from a PKer, hoping that they don't have a lockpick on them. It also has some chests in here that you can search, but again, they're just basic coin chests, nothing really important in them. There's also a half a red berry pie spawn in here, which is kind of cool, and a bunch of pirates if I ever really wanted to kill pirates, but I don't really see a reason to do that. Okay, that concludes our sightseeing, except for one very specific location and very scary location. Let's go check it out. Oh man, I'm so not ready. So just to the south of the pirate's hideout, there's actually a staircase here in this bombed out old building. And down here there are quite a lot of NPCs. There's hill giants, chaos dwarves, there's a Guam leaf spawn, which is kind of interesting. And as we go deeper into the dungeon here, there are unfortunately shadow spiders, which drain a lot of prayer if they attack you. So I actually probably will want to bring a prayer potion here just in case I need to use prayer, because I'm not likely to have any at the actual fire giants. There's a 1-dose attack potion spawn here, which is kind of interesting. And yeah, even though it didn't even attack me, it got my prayer down to 13. Yeah, I'll want to bring a prayer potion for sure, because prayer is going to be a necessity to survive any attack. And at the very back here are the fire giants, of course. I'm going to try to kill them from the back here, just because I feel like it will be a little bit less noticeable. And I might have a little bit more chance to log out. And from here we can just safely range away at the fire giants. The fire giants, of course, are a brand new NPC added with this month, and they have 2 drops that we need to go for. One is the Rune Scimitar, and one is the Fire Battle Staff, and they're both 1 out of 128. I need the Rune Scimitar because it's actually a better DPS item than the Rune Sword against very low defense monsters, and better than the Dragon Longsword as well against those very low DPS monsters. So it is a very niche and slight upgrade. In addition, I would be able to craft a Fire Battle Staff and not need to get it from the Fire Giant, but because I'm locked out of Battle Staff crafting, it's actually a very notable upgrade that I can get from them, and only from them at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and get one. Since both are only a 1 out of 128 drop, I don't think it should be incredibly hard to get, but then again, we're in the wilderness and we have a very high chance of dying and losing Paradox, so this is going to be a little bit of a nerve-wracking grind, and I definitely hope that we get it early rather than later. And there we go, our very first fire giant kill. Awesome. Now I'm not going to stay here much longer. I'm going to want to go ahead and get a prayer potion and make sure I'm fully ready mentally for this grind, because I really am scared. I really don't want to lose Paradox if we can help it, but as you can see, without running and without Protect from Magic, I'm very likely to die if I get attacked. I have such a long way to go to get to the pirate's hideout. The best thing for me is going to be to try to stay out of combat with NPCs and get a log out before a PKer is able to attack me. Make sure I'm staying with constant vigilance and not getting attacked. And there you go. I'm being attacked. Oh, thank goodness they didn't have any teleblock on them. And we have survived the wilderness for today, but of course we are far from done out there. There's a lot more to do. So one small thing I'm actually going to do before we head out there for real is I'm going to craft my 2 remaining diamonds into amulets of power. I'm realizing that when I high elked one of my amulets of power after getting the glory, that was a bit premature, as they were going to be pretty useful for this grind. I don't mind losing an amulet of power, I do mind losing an amulet of glory, and the amulet of power still gives a pretty nice little ranged bonus, so it'll be pretty handy to have these. Okay. All that said though, let's head back to Ardoin and head out into the wilderness and hopefully not lose Paradox. Oh boy. Oh no, we're dead. I was here for 3 kills. No, my beaver. I think he can one-hit my HP. Only thing to do is to beg. Maybe he'll let me live if I beg for the pet's life. Goodbye, Paradox. I'll miss you. I'll see you on the other side. That's all she wrote. The beaver's gone, and there's nothing we can do. I didn't even make it through 3 kills. The good news is now that Paradox is gone, I am a little less on edge, because dying doesn't really matter, though walking all the way back is definitely going to be a pain. I have to walk all the way to Draenor Village, teleport to Camelot, and then walk to Ardy to get to the lever and do this all over again. I'm not sure I'll even bother with the lockpick from here on out, just because with Ice Barrage and other bind spells being in contention and no real way to defend myself from them, I wasn't even able to leave the cave, let alone make my way to the pirate's hideout. I'm just no match at all, unfortunately. The only thing I can do is try to get a log out. Okay, so now that Paradox is gone, I'm basically going to go with the new strategy, which is just give in to whatever happens. I don't actually take any damage from the giant, so I don't really need armor. I'll wear this just to help me get in the dungeon, but otherwise I'm not even really going to be bringing food. This way when I die, I can grab a knife from Lumbridge, teleport back to a bank, and then teleport to Camelot and walk back down to the lever. It'll be a lot faster and I won't waste as many supplies for sure. Alright, let's head back to the giants and hope we get lucky on these drops.
You lose pet? Not insured? Why would you
Can't
bring
insure
it, man?
I'm stuck in
Leave him back
2002.
low.
There we go, our first item, the Rune Scimitar. Let's go ahead and get out of here before we lose it though. I do protect it with this setup over the magic shortbow, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal, but I would love to keep everything I've got, so let's go. And there we go, we made it safely back to the bank with our Rune Scimitar in tow. That's amazing. This is actually such a nice upgrade over the Rune Sword for that 4-tick attack speed weapon. And of course, because we don't need it anymore, I'll just go ahead and high elk this Rune Sword. There we go, 12k cash, not bad. Back out to the wilderness, we need that other drop still. There we go. There's 55 ranged, and if I bury this bone, 50 prayer. This is actually a good amount of experience from this grind. I really can't complain. We are currently up to 132 kills without the fire battle staff, so we're officially dry on that, but not too dry. And honestly, with a 1 in 128 drop rate, even if it takes us a lot more kills, it's not really going to take that long overall. Ironically, it's been really quiet here since I lost Paradox, unfortunately. Only a couple of PKs in the 3 or so hours this has taken so far. Go figure. Poor Paradox. A loop half of key. That's actually amazing. I'm going to go ahead and bank this right away. Another good Dragonstone would be so useful. Definitely don't want to lose that. Success! We got the battle staff. Let's get the heck out of here before I die. And there we go. We successfully made it back, achieving both the fire battle staff and the rune scimitar, though not without casualties. Poor Paradox, man. I'm going to miss him. So now, before we go ahead and upgrade this staff, I'm going to go ahead and talk to Dango here and get back my holiday cape because I lost it when I died with Paradox, unfortunately. There we go. 20th anniversary cape reobtained. Awesome. Looks so much cleaner now. And finally chatting with Dominthius here in the Varrock slums to get my steel gauntlets back. So the interesting part about these staves is back in the day, it was actually pretty important to upgrade from a staff to a battle staff and then from a battle staff to a mystic battle staff, because the way magic worked is if you wanted to use a staff in combat, you would be casting spells at the exact same time that you would be hitting your opponent with melee damage. So having more melee stats on your staff was actually really nice. You can see that main scaling here where we have 9 crush bonus on this staff and the battle staff goes up to 28. Now back in our RuneScape Classic and most of RuneScape's history, every single tier of staff had the exact same plus 10 magic bonus, but recently that was buffed so that battle staves have plus 12 and mystic battle staves have plus 14, which is going to be absolutely incredible. That extra magic accuracy is actually super nice because I have so few magic accuracy boosting items available to me. So let's go ahead and talk to Thoramak here and let's upgrade a battle staff. Boom, enchant the fire battle staff for 40k coins. And you can see it goes up to plus 40 crush as well as plus 14 magic. That's actually super nice. And with that, I can finally go ahead and high elk this staff of fire. We don't need it anymore. Goodbye, old friend. So thanks to that loop half drop and an extra tooth half I had in my bank from the Hobgoblin grind, I can actually get another Dragonstone, which is going to be really nice. We got 150 iron ore with this one too, which is great actually. I'm glad I didn't get nothing again. So I actually just noticed that this iron ore was given in the form of banknotes, which I don't technically have access to. And looking at the drop table on the OSRS Classic wiki, it would have been given as certs, which are basically the same thing. I just would have had to exchange them with an NPC rather than at a bank. All right, go ahead and craft the 3rd glory on the account, which is actually going to be really nice. Every glory I get is going to be less often. I need to go back to the Heroes Guild to charge them up. So I will take as many as I can get for sure. Okay, with that wilderness adventure out of the way, the only thing we have left for this month is some quests. So let's go ahead and get started. So next up is that the dwarves have apparently discovered a secret tunnel underneath the White Wolf Mountain, providing a alternate safe passage across. And I want in on this secret passage, so I'm going to go have a chat with one of the dwarves guarding the entrance on the Catherby side of the tunnel and see what he has to say about me potentially getting access. Apparently I can immediately insult poor Vestry here and call him Stumpy, but he rightly says I cannot bully my way into the tunnel. Okay. So Vestry says in order to gain access to the passage underneath the White Wolf Mountain, I'll need to get him a certain gold artifact, because dwarves are a big fan of gold. And that's the trophy from the Hemnister fishing competition. He hands me a fishing pass, which is an entry ticket to the competition, and I'm on my way. Let's go win this trophy for the dwarf. Unfortunately, I do not have a fishing rod on me, and rather than walk all the way back to Port Sarim to buy one, I can actually just speak with Grandpa Jack here, and he'll sell me a fishing rod for 5 coins. Interestingly, Grandpa Jack says he won the fishing competition for 4 years straight. So we're going to see if we can pry for any information from him. He recommends that we fish by the outflow pipes where the really big fish are, so we're definitely going to try to fish there if we can. And he says the best type of bait for them is actually red vineworms, not normal fishing bait. And we can obtain the red vineworms from McGrubber's Wood, which is just north of his house. Apparently I have the foresight to say that there's a weird creepy guy who says he's not a vampire using the fishing spot, even though I've never actually been into the fishing contest area yet, but I don't know, I guess we can see the future both in character and beyond the fourth wall. Okay. Grandpa Jack says to find some garlic and stick it in one of the pipes near the fishing spot to scare away the vampire. And I just so happen to have obtained some garlic in Sears Village. So pretty much gives you all the information you need to solve the quest here. I didn't realize Grandpa Jack was so knowledgeable. The last thing that we're going to do is pay him 5 GP for one of the fishing rods. Thanks a lot, Grandpa Jack. You have been a huge help. Let's go get some red vine worms and win this contest. So, approaching the McGrubbers Wood from the south side and the main gate here, I try to go through the gate and the forester immediately tells me that I can't because it's private land. I'll need to find another way in. Now, approaching from the north side, there's actually a broken railing here that we can squeeze through and get into the woods. Thankfully, there's really no foresters inside the private land. There's just guard dogs that will attack us, but I'm not too worried about them. On the western side of the private area, there are, unsurprisingly, red vines. So we're gonna go ahead and dig with our spade here and get a couple of them. And there we go, the red vine worms found under the red vines. Go figure. Now heading back to Hemnister, we can go ahead and open the gate using our competition pass and gain access to the competition area. It's actually surprising how many different fishing spots there are available here. And you could fish from any one of them, but as we know, the best fishing spot that Grandpa Jack told us is all the way here on the north side by the drainage pipes. Apparently Big Dave here is the champ, even though Grandpa Jack won the competition the last 4 years, so I don't know what that's about. If I talk to the Sinister Stranger, which is quite obviously a vampire, I can get into some sort of ellipsis battle where we both just don't talk to each other. It's kind of interesting. He also has like a really strong accent, which most vampires don't, which is kind of interesting too. If we just confront him the fact that he's a vampire, he just says that just because he can't stand the smell of garlic and doesn't like bright sunlight doesn't necessarily mean that he's a vampire. So before we begin the competition, of course, we're going to go ahead and put this garlic here in this wall pipe so that the vampire will not choose this fishing spot. We go ahead and pay the 5 coin entry fee to go ahead and begin the actual fishing contest. Bonzo says that I will get the fish near the willow tree and the Sinister Stranger will get the fish near the pipe. But of course, the stranger is going to smell the garlic and decide to fish by the willow tree instead. This leaves Grandpa Jack's promised fishing spot only to us. Immediately, we catch a raw giant carp. So let's go ahead and turn that into Bonzo here and see if we won the competition. And boom, that was the biggest fish by far. Bonzo even calls out that it's the biggest carp he's ever seen since Grandpa Jack used to compete. Oh, that's pretty great. And we have the trophy in hand, so let's go ahead and head out. Interestingly, now that I've won the competition, none of the dialogue for any of the other competitors changes. They both assume that the competition hasn't happened yet. And that's kind of lame. It would be really cool to kind of gloat in their face that I won the competition. Oh well. Let's go ahead and return this to the dwarf and be on our way into the secret tunnel. One small thing before I go, they did release one more thievable chest with Hemnister. It's this chest right here, which needs a lockpick, which I don't have because I lost it in the wilderness. But if I were to lockpick it, it would give me some steel arrow tips, which is kind of interesting. It also gives a good amount of experience, so if I ever need to train some thieving, that's definitely an option that I have now. So we return to Vestry victorious, fishing trophy in hand, and turn the trophy over to him to gain access to the secret tunnel. He is very pleased with how shiny and gold it is, and that gives us a small amount of fishing experience and access to his tunnel. Alright. I don't know how useful this tunnel is actually going to be, because now that I can teleport to Camelot, that's going to be my preferred method for getting around. But law runes are actually still fairly limited for me, so I could see it becoming handy. If I'm ever completely out of law runes, this will definitely be my preferred method for getting across the mountain. This is a lot faster than walking over the top. Alright, I think that's it for the fishing contest. Let's move on to the next one. So next up we head to the southern part of Ardoin, to the monastery that's just to the south here. There's a couple of rocks outside the front, which is kind of interesting. I never really understood why there's like oars outside this monastery, but the actual monastery itself is quite large. So if we talk to Brother Omad here in the monastery, he says that he hasn't been able to get any sleep because of Brother Andre's son, who's just constantly crying all the time. He says it was fine until last week when thieves broke in and stole his favorite sleeping blanket, which is a problem. Why would thieves break into a monastery just to steal a blanket? I have no idea why. That feels incredibly petty. Brother Omad says that he would go back and get the blanket, but they're peaceful people here at the monastery, so he needs me to do it. He also lets me know that the thieves hide in a secret ring of stones out in the woods here. So let's go find that and get this blanket back for Brother Andre's son. This must have been pretty cool back in the day, where you would walk into the circle of stones and then a ladder would just appear. That's pretty nifty, and there's nothing like that in the game just yet, where a scenery object would just appear when you get close to it. It gives us access to this dungeon here, where there's a group of thieves hiding out, of course. And here's the blanket that's sitting on the table here. We'll just go ahead and pick that up, and the thieves don't even bother us because I'm so high level that they don't even aggro on me. Returning to Brother Omad, we can give him back the blanket and tell him that we've recovered it from the clutches of the evil thieves. I mean, honestly, they just kind of let me waltz in and take it back, so it wasn't that bad. He says he's off to bed because the blanket has soothed the crying child and he can finally get some sleep. And interestingly, that doesn't really end the quest or anything. So after a few seconds, we can just chat with him again. And he says he's sleeping much better now, so I guess he micro slept right in front of us while standing up. I guess that works. Wish I could do that. Now he's talking that Brother Andre's son has a birthday coming up, so they're going to be organizing a birthday party soon. He says he just needs Brother Cedric to return with the wine for the birthday party, and then they can celebrate. He says that he got sent for wine 3 days ago, but Brother Cedric probably got drunk and lost in the forest. Not a really reliable monk, if you ask me. Great, very helpful. Let's go walk through the woods again and see if we can find this poor guy. And here is Brother Cedric with all of his barrels of wine and a broken down cart, which is really unfortunate. And of course, he's very, very drunk. He asks for a jug of water to help him sober up. And it has to be a jug. It can't be a bucket or anything, which is kind of interesting. But thankfully I have a jug of water with me already here. Apparently just drinking some water is enough to help him sober up. And now we just need to fix the cart so we can bring the wine back to the party. Of course, we could just turn in this set of logs that I already chopped here, and that'll let him fix the cart so we can get moving on. He says he will head back to Brother Omad soon, and I should head there now, so I will do that. Returning to Brother Omad once again, I mentioned that Brother Cedric is on his way, so now we can party. He gives me 8 law runes to repay me, which is actually incredibly valuable. Law runes are so nice, even just 8. And that said, we party for the kid's birthday. All right, I'm just dancing in a corner here, don't mind me. This definitely feels like one of those birthday parties that you would go to as an adult for a kid, but all the adults are just drunk and lounging around all the time, even though the kids are like off running around. And there we go, the completion of the Monk's Friend quest. All right, one more small thing to do in the month of May of 2002, and then we are done. So one of the last things we need to do is steal some spice here, which we're just gonna go ahead and yoink, just like that. Thanks to our thieving level. We'll need to stop here at the Lumberage Cow Pen and beat a cow to death with our new staff, because we need its raw beef. We'll also need to pick a potato from the field just north of the cow pen. Then we can go ahead and grab this bowl from the Lumberage kitchen here and fill it with water. Need to cook the raw beef on the range, and then use it on the bowl of water to get a stew. Then we can use the spice on the stew to get an uncooked curry, which is the new item for this month. Cook that on the range and we get a cooked curry, which is a 19 heal. So this is notable because the process that you just saw, I think is actually faster than fishing sharks. So I can get a 19 heal a little bit faster than I can get a 20 heal, especially considering the fact that I'm still going to burn a ton of sharks at 80 cooking. And I shouldn't burn as many curries as they don't require nearly as high cooking. I actually stopped burning these at 74 cooking, so I very well could be using some curries in the future. The spices are probably the hardest part to get, as I have to steal them from the stall in Ardoyne or buy them one at a time from the shopkeep there. Cook, get out of my face, please. Okay, and here we are, the very end of May of 2002. It is such a shame that Paradox could not survive the journey with us, but we did get some notable upgrades as well as some quest completions, so the progress continues, even though Paradox is no longer here. We did get the Mystic Fire Staff finally, which is something we could have had last month if it wasn't for integrity changes. We also got the Rune Scimitar, which is a small upgrade against very low defense monsters, and we got an extra Amulet of Glory, which is huge. I'm so excited to be able to teleport around the game even easier than before. Man, poor Paradox though. It was definitely pretty inevitable as we need to go into Wilderness again a few more times, but it's a shame that he wasn't able to make it with us. One other thing I keep forgetting to show off is at some point Jagex released a new filtering system for the quest list, and one of the filter options is to sort things by year. So this is actually a really cool way to look at our progress so far. As you can see, we have all the quests in 2001 complete, And in 2002, we've completed up to Monk's Friend, so you can kind of get a feel for where we are in regards to all of the quests in the game. We have a long way to go, that's for sure, even just for 2002. So having a look at our total playtime for the month of May of 2002, it was actually only just about 9 hours or so, which makes a lot of sense. We had only a couple of items to grind out this month, as well as a couple of quests. Honestly, it's been really nice to have a month that was this short again. This is probably one of the shortest months overall, and definitely refreshing not to have to spend 40 or even 100 hours or even 300 hours on completing a single month. All that said, thank you so much for watching the video. I'm so excited to keep this going into the summer, and I hope you are ready for the rest of the journey too. Of course, we cannot leave without thanking the members who have joined the channel. Your support means so much to me, and thank you so much for joining. Joining the channel is the best way to support me, so if you'd like to do that, consider signing up. And of course, a double extra huge thank you to our top tier supporters, Tuan Pendrag, Peepo Time, and OneKiller912. That's all for me today. Take care, and I will see you in June of 2002.